that's the battle that I have often, which is how far do you want to actually take it? You're making good money. You're starting to scale. You're getting excited at scale. But it can very quickly become too much. You can start becoming a victim of your own business, and it can start sucking you in.
I think a lot of businesses suffer, a lot of entrepreneurs actually fail because of not being able to actually kill their own ego.
It's a matter of how much are you willing to sacrifice.
Welcome everybody to another edition of Convos with Bishop. My name is Bishop. As always, it's a great day to have a great day. And I have my man, Kyle Connor, in the building.
Let's go.
What up?
Long overdue, my friend.
Yes, sir, man. Wait, we've been trying to do this for like 2 years?
I feel like
I haven't known you for 2 years, but probably like,
probably about the last year, man.
Last year?
Yeah, we've been seeing each other at events. We've been chopping it up in different interviews, but we haven't had this nice sit down that we've been so desperately needing. So
yeah, definitely, man. From a scale of 1 to 10, you can't use 7. How you feeling right now?
I'm feeling like a 10.
10.
I'm feeling great.
Okay. What gets you to a 10? Like, why do you how do you get there to actually feel like that perfect 10 always?
Gotta win the mornings, man. That's first and foremost. So I'm big on my time in the morning and not having that interrupted. So number one, I like to get my workouts in the morning, bro. I like to start my day with some exercise. I'm not the type of person that's gonna wake up and rush my way into work. So number one, I gotta start my day respecting my time, respecting the activities to kick off my day the right way. And that's how I do it. And then I go into obviously the work day, the busy work day, and we can talk about some of that as well, of course. But number one, I want to start my day off the right way, but with activities that fulfill me first.
So one of the things I actually really, really admire about you is that you really make entrepreneurship a easy grasp to everybody. With the systems that you built, with the business that you have, when it comes to that, building startups as far as from the marketing end. And I really admire about that because, I have a different take when it comes to like either having W-2 and also being an entrepreneur, which we'll get in a little bit. Sure. Before we get into that, man, I really want to start as far as where you came from, where this entrepreneur spirit actually came from.
Definitely.
So please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, man. So let's go back to 2019. The first company I ever worked with out of school was a company called Carbon Black. They were a startup in the cybersecurity space. And I hit big in my first job out of school. They ended up going public. I had about $30,000 of equity that vested, and I was 25 at the time. I'm like, holy cow. What do I do with this money, right? I come from a blue collar family and upbringing. I learned how to work hard but not work smart. So I had to really take this money and do something. I was like, wow, this is a chance at investing. This is a chance at mastermind groups. Like, what do I want to do with this? So naturally, through my research, podcast university, looking at YouTube university, right, and everything that just kept coming up was real estate, right? So common denominator, what do all rich people have is real estate. So I was like, great. That's when I started listening to Grant Cardone, Pace Morby, Max Maxwell, all these people that were really big into getting into investing in real estate or wholesaling, right? And that's what got my mind into, okay, I started thinking about getting into wholesaling and starting a wholesale business. And that was how the entrepreneurship drive started to come when I had that lucky event that happened, right, with that company going public. So that's what got me to the capital to get started. And
how old are you, by
I
the
was
way?
25 at the time.
You're 25.
Right now I'm 33.
33. Okay,
So I started my companies 2019 is when I started my LLC. So almost 6 years ago, right, for both of them actually. So yeah, I was young, I was hungry, man, and I was just ready to change my stars, right? Change my family stars a little bit, trying to build wealth that I didn't have, that I wasn't born into. So that's what got me excited first about entrepreneurship, number one. And then I started getting into real estate, and now fast forward to today, I run a call center. We've worked with over 150 real estate professionals now across the United States. And I also run an active wholesale business. So we do about 3 to 4 deals a month, and everything's virtual that we do.
Being able to actually have that type of capital at such a young age, $25,000 at 25, right?
Yep.
Obviously, you did what you need to do as far as really, investing in yourself, learning the education and all that. But, most people, especially at that age, will just blow the bag and just fuck it up. So what I would ask you is what made you different to actually think of let me take that capital and to invest in myself versus what everybody else does, which is basically mess it all up.
Yeah. So again, growing up, man, I grew up from a family that had to work for their money, work hard for their money. And again, blue collar mentality. And I didn't come, I paid for school. I came into my working world with a little bit of debt already, with my college loan debt. So like, I had that drive, man, already before that, before my company went public and I got that equity vested. I already was trying to work my way to become rich. It's this helped me understand, okay, now I have this capital to say, okay, instead of me grinding to try to get my first mastermind group, 10K of that, actually 7K of that went right to my first mastermind program ever of that 25, 30K I got.
What kind of mastermind was that?
It was actually to learn about debt and leverage to start your business.
Okay.
It was a group called 0%, and they use 0% interest, using that capital, not just to get you the funding, but also teaching you like core business and financial fundamentals to really make sure you could not only get into entrepreneurship, but maintain success in entrepreneurship, right? So that was the first group, and it was awesome, man. It opened my mind to such a new world for me. I think everyone needs to go into a mastermind program, regardless of where you're at in your journey. You need to be a part of one or get into one. So that's what really got my mind into thinking, okay, now I'm in the room with all these entrepreneurs. Now I'm ready to become a business owner, entrepreneur, and that's how everything.
With that mentorship, who is actually the most influential person that you met within that mentorship, and what you learned the most from them?
Dude, the owner of the group is named Jeff Seckinger. He runs a crypto fund now. He was 27 years old at the time, right? Running this group, right? And the group was 7K at the time when I paid. And at the highest point, I think it was 15 grand for some people to get in. And the thing that I respected the most out of him was, number one, his age and his ability to, like, he was so big on mindset. I think money comes and goes, but your ability to withstand the pressure of client growth, to withstand the pressure of scale, to withstand the pressure of earning more money, right? And I saw him develop his client base from, I think I was client number could have been maybe 50, 70 or something, to like grow a group of over 300, 400 people in a mastermind program at the age of 27, making 7 and 8 figures. This kid was like, I was like, okay, he obviously has a great service offering. He obviously has a great product that he's delivering on, but it was his mindset and the way that he just combated all his irrational thoughts and beliefs about money and earning money and his ability to make money. And that opened my mind to say, wow, I need to think a lot bigger. If this kid can do it at 27, I'm far behind. Like, I got to start thinking a lot different, right? And that's what opened. He was the most impressive, obviously, the guy running the group. But yeah, that was just one individual that really blew my mind.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's really important to actually have those mentors to be able to actually, push you through and all that stuff. And to really kind of like, take it to the next level. I've always said this, it's like, if you want to do something, okay, you can do it by yourself. If you want to do something big, what I'm saying, you actually do something with somebody else as far as who actually knows, more than you. And I actually have this theory when it comes to actually mentorship, right? So I have this man and a monkey in the middle, right? So somebody's always going to be better than you or worse than you, right? You always need to be in a spot where you're always in the middle. So you're always growing, and you always have a peer right next to you to kind of like, compete with. Facts. And somebody's actually below you, so you can actually teach them as well too,
Right,
so
100%. And have you found, one thing that I've battled with when you first get into mastermind groups is it's hard to be comfortable with not being, it's hard to measure those different levels of success in the room, right? And it can be hard, especially in a place like Miami, right? Like, there's some big elephants in the room when you get in places, and it can be at first a little bit overwhelming, and you kind of, it's a mental fortitude game that you have to play to be like, it's okay to not be the big, it's okay to be in that middle ground and give yourself a little grace at times. Cause I found that that's the battle that I get to have mentally, is like, how to block out the noise sometimes and be comfortable with where I'm at in my journey. Right? You
think Miami can be a little intimidating?
I think so at times. I think once you get past, like, obviously, right? It's the biggest, you're in such a big pond, right? And you're in the mix. So how do you, there's different levels obviously out there. How have you felt living here and going through that as well, as long as you have, because you're always in events and you've seen it. Do you find that as well?
What?
Just do you find that the battle, the mental fortitude sometimes to be like, all right.
Yeah, because that's actually a really good question because way to flip it on me.
Yeah, my bad.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
I love your take. So I'm curious.
So even though you feel like you're doing your damnedest and your most,
you're right.
It's still not enough.
Thank you. So I'm not the only one that feels that way.
Dog, it's like you over here working 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week.
Bro.
Like, finally hit like a 50, maybe even 60K a month. And you got some other dude, some other motherfucker that made freaking 50 in a day.
Yes.
Maybe even 50 in a minute.
Yep.
Maybe even 100 in a day. So it's just like, man, like I'm really happy that like I'm able to get the inspiration in Miami. But when is enough?
So that's what I've learned, bro. Since you talked about like one of the things that, and I appreciate you saying that, going from making entrepreneurship easier for people that are in the W-2, that are trying to transition, whether they want to escape their W-2 or maybe they love their W-2, they want to keep it and they want to get into entrepreneurship. I appreciate you saying that because that's the battle that I have often, which is. And that's why I love entrepreneurship, which is how far do you want to actually take it? I've been on the side of the coin of working a W-2 and running a company that did $500,000 at the same time. And I've been on the side of full-time entrepreneur, still making that same amount of money and still going through battles of a full-time entrepreneur that I didn't expect when I was battling both W-2 and running a company at the same time. And so I think you start to realize though, once you go all in your business, the question starts to waver is like, what am I waking up and doing this for in the first place? There comes a point I think that every entrepreneur has as a business owner, which is like, you're making good money, you're starting to scale, you're getting excited at scale, but it can very quickly become too much. And you can start becoming a victim of your own business and it can start sucking you in, right? And I've had that before. I've had burnout many, many times. So you asked the question, I'm not financially at my goals yet, but I've started to realize what's enough for me overhead wise, people in my business, amount of employees I take on, amount of clients that I can take on is another thing I've realized. That's a big thing I've learned over the last years, is when is too many clients going to start becoming a pain more than a benefit, right?
Yeah.
So these
while
are
still keeping that quality of service.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So these are things, bro, that's not a perfect answer, but it's something certainly we all think about, right? When's enough?
Do you think, so one of the things you said is that when you're able to actually go all in on your entrepreneurship journey, do you think you could still be actually able to be fully into entrepreneurship while still having a W-2? Because I don't.
Yeah. I agree with you on that, by the way. I don't disagree. I think what you have to figure out is what is your role in your business? And when you wake up every day and you look at, are there bottlenecks occurring in my business because of my inability to pay attention to does that make sense? So like, if you're finding that you're causing the bottleneck, right? My inability, for example, as a business leader, if there's certain things that are causing the company to not, whether it's marketing initiatives, new lead gen initiatives, right? If that's causing a direct impact to the company, now I need to look in the mirror and I need to replace myself immediately. Fire myself immediately.
Yeah.
Or I need to rethink do I really want to be an entrepreneur or a business owner, right? Because there's going to come that tipping point where you either have to go all in or you have to replace yourself. And so I think that you're right. You can only do it for so long. You can only maintain juggling both for so long before one or the other is impacted negatively.
Yeah.
And you have to ask yourself, am I willing to let my business be negatively impacted?
Yeah, because like I always say this, you can't be half pregnant.
No, you can't. No, you can't.
Either you all in or you're not. Either you having those 9 months
you're
or
right.
that's it. You know what I'm saying?
1,000%.
Yeah.
But you can run a successful business while doing both. You can make a lot of money doing both, but you have to have a plan and you have to be intentional with how far can I take my business until it requires my full-time attention. And if I can't go in at full-time, then I need to find a business partner or an equity partner or someone that can replace me as that CEO or COO.
So
right?
there's a lot that's happening right now. Let's just, stay on this one point.
Correct.
Okay. I don't think everybody can be an entrepreneur.
No.
I think most people, maybe even 90% of people in the world cannot be an entrepreneur because you have to be that type of like sick-headed mother effort for you to be able to really have that delusion for you to actually be able to build that business. I do think that there's a difference between being an entrepreneur and also being a business owner and having an idea and actually trying to just be like, you know what, here's my idea. Let me have this team do this.
100%.
And that comes from a lot of people, men and women, having too much of an ego. I think a lot of businesses suffer, a lot of entrepreneurs actually fail because of not being able to actually kill their own ego.
Or their own vices,
and
or
their own vices.
problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I've learned that too, man.
Yeah.
Like if you are, there's a word that I've really started to learn and respect, especially since living in Miami. You can call it, there's people out there that make a ton of money, they capaholics, regardless if they make their money the right way or the wrong way. I respect people that have taken themselves and they're taking their business to this certain level because there's a word, it's called sacrifice. And there's certain level of sacrifice that people, whether they're an 8-figure, 7-figure entrepreneur, I've seen them. We've been in the mix with a lot of them in events. I see the level of commitment and sacrifice they're willing to go to, whether that's lack of time with their family, lack of time with their kids, lack of time with friends that they grew up with that they once had a great relationship with and know that's no longer there. Something has to be sacrificed along the way, right? And it's a matter of how much are you willing to sacrifice to commit to going all in on your business is the question that most entrepreneurs I don't think realize until they're actually in the mix.
Yeah.
They start realizing how much their business takes up their day.
Yeah,
right?
and also too, they
life.
think that they're sacrificing, but they're not.
Correct.
You know?
Correct.
I've always said this: you can have everything in the world, you just can't have it all at once. You know,
Powerful.
So if you want to have that time freedom, because for me right now, like I've always wanted to be the person to be a billionaire, have a bunch of money. Honestly, right now I'm trying to be a time billionaire.
Yeah.
I want to have as much time as I can to be able to do what I want, be with my friends, do podcasts like this, you know what I'm saying? Whether I'm getting paid or not, doesn't really matter.
100%.
Doing what I love, building with people, networking and all that, and not just be like a slave to the actual business, if that makes sense. So I think that's what people really need to strive for, except for just like, okay, fine, let me just make, 10, 20, 40, $50,000. Because that old saying is you can't bring this shit to your grave anyway.
No.
But like time, and also be able to have the time and actually be able to actually gain those experiences. Those experiences actually last forever.
100%.
And I think that's the wonderful thing we have with entrepreneurship. You know what I'm saying?
And you can also quickly spiral into becoming a slave to your business. Unfortunately, that can happen. And I've
working in the business, not on the business.
Correct.
That's what
like
it is.
Making that transition. Like I've seen that as well. Like when I went from working corporate and then running my companies full time. Like I ended up working more. I was making less money in the beginning. When I made that swap. I just had to learn a lot of tough lessons of realizing like, okay, I don't have insurance anymore. I don't have this coverage anymore. Like I have to work, I have to start, you just start factoring in things that you don't as a full-time entrepreneur versus when you have the comfort of corporate. Right. And so I always tell people like everyone's timing's different. Everyone's level of like their lifestyle is going to be different. And what they need financially to support that lifestyle. But I just go back to the word, which is you got to ask yourself before you get in any entrepreneurial journey is like, well, how much are you willing to sacrifice and how much are you willing to give up? Because you're going to have to make a tremendous amount of sacrifice to be successful.
And you're a man, of valor and also of honor as far as like, always sacrificing. And, obviously, you have a wife, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
How long you guys been together?
3 years.
So
married,
3 years.
But we've been together for almost 10 years now.
10 years.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
so, you already know when it comes to actually, sacrificing for your wife and be able to actually build that family that you actually want. And I also think that kind of as far as with your work ethic definitely is in parallel to like with your family, because you said you guys were like blue collar. So tell me just a little bit about like your family when it comes to like, like what kind of blue collar job or career that they have, Tell me a little about your upbringing.
Man, absolutely. So I grew up, my first job was a yard hand, cleaning bathrooms and bug zappers on a rich people's boats, basically.
Okay.
So making $15 an hour at the age of 15, and that was my first paycheck. And my dad works in landscaping. He manages as a manager in a landscaping company, and my mother works as a preschool teacher. And for the longest time growing up, I learned how to trade my time for money. And there's something to say about that. I've also in my now in my 30s, and as I've gone into entrepreneurship very deep, I've also respected the simpleness and nature of the blue collar route. And there's something to say about having your day finished at the end of the workday.
Yeah. But entrepreneurship is 24/7.
It's never stops.
They were 9 to 5.
Never stops. And that was a major mental shift for me, is not having your work done at the end of the day. And so anyways, but they taught me how to work really hard. Right. And so they showed me consistency, which is something that's very rare in today's, I think, working environment, is just showing up, whether that's, I love that common meme that goes around that I think Jim Quick and Gary Vee always show, which is that what is consistency really, right? It's the glasses all half, full in different levels. I love that, because that's really how entrepreneurship is, right? So my parents taught me consistency, how to show up and how to commit every single day, even on the worst of days, right? And that's something I will never trade. Now, what I had to learn, or what I had to really invest in, was how to actually manage my finances properly, how to manage good debt. My parents got into large credit card debt at one point. I also kind of made those same patterns of behavior as well, because I just got comfortable with being in larger amounts of debt. That made it very hard to get my business off the ground in the beginning stages. It's made it hard to scale at times. So there was a major learning. My relationship with money had to be changed. Okay. That's what it needed to change. It's not my working ability. It wasn't how my work ethic. It was really my relationship with money. And that's a major thing that people need to understand, is how much baggage they bring from their early stages of life, regardless if it was their parents' relationship with money or even their relationship with money, and how that trickles into their adult years. And I don't know if you have any takes on that, but that's one thing I've definitely seen can hurt people. You can have a successful business, you can be the best service provider, best product, but if the leader isn't financially sound, or the CEO is not financially sound, the business is going to show for it. Yeah. And I've been on that.
Yeah. So this is what I would say. I would say that, you're strong as your weakest link at the end of the day. Your core group, as far as like when it comes to you being a leader, you have to have a not just a financial relationship with your money, but an emotional relationship with your money as well too. And that was something that I actually had to like really, really learn, because my family and I, we wasn't really like rich, but we wasn't necessarily like very poor, but like ever since like the last like 10 years of actually me like building my businesses and actually being like, the I say like the most successful person in like the family, then like all eyes go on you.
Sure, of course. And
like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh shit, okay, Bishop, you know what I'm saying? He looking like he's on a high rise penthouse, whatever. He got money. Hey, can I get $1? Hey, can I get $5? Hey, can I get $10? Hey, can I get 100? And I'm like, dog, it doesn't fucking work like that.
Nah, it never does.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, I think a lot of people need to understand that the money that you make is not all yours.
Correct. No, it's not.
In entrepreneurship, that makes it. Even in W-2 as well too, because you got taxes and everything else too.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
have to be able to have expenses. But especially when you are an entrepreneur, because you eat what you kill.
Correct.
So you could have $100,000 a month, but then have turn back and have a $10,000 a month the next month. What's going to happen? You can't have the same mentality or the same habits you had with that $100,000 a month that you did with your $10,000 a month. You can't do it, because you will fucking crash and burn. And then on top of that, you have family and friends, or whatever, that think that you're having that $100,000 a month all the time for you to be asking money and for you to hold them down or whatever. Yo, it gets deep.
It does, man.
Like straight up to the point where like now I'm at a point where I'm like, yo, like, you know what? Like, forget everybody. Like, respectfully, forget everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because I think when it comes to building a business, when like you have a W-2, you have a business or whatever, especially like in your world, you have to like really, really be selfish to be selfless in the future.
For 100%.
You know,
100%.
Because if you don't do that, you will crash and burn, and nobody cares about you. Nobody cares what you got going through. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you actually going through it. You know what I'm saying? When other people are going through it, you have to care about them, or they think that you have to care about them. But when you're actually going through those trials and tribulations, it's like you're the only person to be able to actually save yourself.
Correct. And you're also not missed as much as you believe you are when you go in silence a little bit. I've noticed and respected a lot of entrepreneurs that have done that, where they've like gone off the radar for like 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, and they've just gone in focused, right? And I've seen that more, and I was like, how could anyone just like go off social media? How could they just disappear for like that? But now I realize like you have to do that almost nowadays. Like you have to, there's only going to be a certain point you're going to get your business to a certain revenue number, and then it's like, I see why people have to go and just completely disconnect from the world a little bit in order to grow a lot faster that way.
Did you have that moment for yourself?
Definitely. I mean, I'm sort of in that moment as we speak. Actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm sort of in that moment as we speak.
Oh, elaborate.
100%. So like, this year 2025 was a wild year for me. I had record months starting the year. We ended up going into getting a business loan, a little bit of leverage, some business funding. And at a time where the real estate market just completely took a dip, right? We think about the beginning of this year, middle of this year, went from seller to buyer market. And what does that mean for us as real estate professionals? What that means is deals that we thought were going to sell in a certain time frame ended up being double that time. Deals are sitting on the market for, instead of 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Not only are these deals they're not selling fast enough, the money we thought we were going to make on them is going down, right? We thought we we're making 20 grand, 25 grand. Now it's like, okay, deals are stalling. We're making 10 grand, 15 grand, 5 grand, right? So this is happening at different levels. Whether you're a wholesaler, you're seeing deals cycles longer, you're seeing deals going down margin wise. And whether you're a fix and flipper, an investor, you're just seeing deals sit on the market longer, right? So what did this do to my company? We went from using that money to scale the company. We were at $500,000 in revenue, and I'm like, I'm seeing $1 million. I want to go. I'm going to take this company to $1 million. Boom. Ends up being instead of using that money to scale, that money ended up being used to keep the lights on, basically keeping the overhead going. We had client retention that we were trying to manage and battle. So like, as a company, we went through a lot of learning lessons just as far as how we grow this business and avoid economic cycles. That was a whole different thing. But for me, going back to how, why I brought this up in the first place was like, I was $3,000 away from bankruptcy in the middle of this year, like literally $3,000 away from bankruptcy in June, right? Had a long look in the mirror in a lot of ways, right? I had one business that was doing well. It kept me going. This business is like not seeing the writing on the wall, but I'd built it for 4 years. I have a team of 40 people that are relying on me. So
to feed them,
and that comes with its own element of pressure. But all that to say is, you got to look out for yourself. You got to look out for number one as an entrepreneur, and I had to do that.
So you had to let go of those people.
So what we did is we did a little bit of restructuring.
Got it.
We were able to renegotiate and settlement on the debt that we owed, which was great. So I ended up lowering. So like this is real shit, guys. Like this is stuff that this is the behind the scenes stuff that happens in entrepreneurship. That I'm excited to talk about because this really happens. And so we were able to restructure our debt. And here's what's funny: we had a record month in September. Come back, we hit 51K for the first time ever in the company's history.
Congrats.
Thank you. We ended up adding eight new clients in the last quarter that are high ticket clients. And so it was me getting back to, because I was in the rush. I was on podcasts for a minute. I was doing a bunch of content. I was pushing because I felt this immense pressure from exterior factors, from the market, from things I thought were important, but I didn't need to focus. So this is all about learning as an entrepreneur, right? You can't get these right the first time all the time, right? So I just grew a lot, bro, this year. And I was actually this is the first, that's why I was excited to do this podcast, because I kind of went in a hole for 6 months to kind of really reevaluate, like, this is how I'm going to restructure my business. This is how we're now diversifying into not just real estate, but home services, right? So all these things all these positive adjustments that came from it. But yeah, you will never grow iron will never sharpen iron more than when you're on the verge of bankruptcy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
That's I mean, that's a fact for that. For the last 6 months of what you went through, what do you think was like the biggest point that you actually realized that kind of gave you that pivotal moment to be able to, to actually have that turn, that cornerstone,
and things that were going to be okay.
Yes. Yeah. So like, what was like the darkest time?
The darkest was definitely like keeping it to myself. And when things got better is when I was open and honest with my wife about it. First off, that was key.
So you were open with your wife about
my
this?
wife didn't just know what was going on behind the scenes as far as like, all the bills were paid, rent was being paid. I was covered. Everything was
of course
fine on the exterior, but she's not realizing that like every single month pressure is weighing financially. Like the business is starting to wane. Our savings is going down more. Like things that, thankfully we don't have kids and we don't have a mortgage. We're that's the next stage of our relationship and life together. So those thankfully weren't that there wasn't like a high pressured circumstances so much. It was just more like, hey, I need to actually divulge this to my wife now and be like, I just needed someone to be a partner with me. And I'm 3 years into being married. It's for anyone that's newly married, been married for a while, they'll resonate with this. Like, it kind of was a nice reminder. I was like, oh shit, this is why you get married in the first place. This is my partner and my friend here to help me. So that was a pivotal moment when I started being open with my wife about like, hey, this is what I'm going through and we got to figure this out together. Then thankfully I didn't need to really rely on her too much other than she picked up thank God, a lot of stuff at home, groceries and certain things and stuff like that she was able to pick up on. And then I just committed to, here's the good thing, right? We've been in business for 4 years. We have new testimonials every month. We have new deals and success stories being done, and we're acquiring new clients. It wasn't for sake of us not having the right business model or maybe having the right service. There was just some things that we had to learn as far as scalability, as far as hitting a new chapter in the business, trying to get to $1 million, right? And so we learned from those mistakes. We let go of some really important people, had to consolidate a little bit, and then we ramped back up again. And so now you're talking to me 6 months later, things are in a really good place, thankfully. But it was pretty dark in the middle of the summer, I'll tell you that.
I want to highlight something, because I definitely want to highlight your wife.
Yes,
because definitely be able to hold down, and also like for you guys to actually have that strong covenant. Because hey, listen, kill me if you want to. 9 times out of 10, for men to open up to women like that, they might be out the door.
For sure. For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So like, did you have that fear?
Not with the relationship my wife and I have.
Okay.
It was more of just like the natural male pride in you, right? You know, as the provider, as the caregiver. Obviously, going back to what we talked about, bro. We live in Miami, so that shit's in front of you. It's like another constant reminder about the money you don't have every single day, right? So like, I think, thank God, my wife is someone I married who doesn't need those things to be happy, and she's never been that way. And she also, we find happy. Our party stages are so over, dude. Like though that stage of our life is far gone. We got that out of our system, and so our idea of fun is a lot different nowadays.
Got you.
So I think we were able to be. Our relationship didn't hinder. The time that we spent together just was a little bit different as far as the activities that we did. But that's how you know you have a real one, right? Our relationship wasn't perfect during those times. Tough conversations, long nights, sweaty nights, not falling asleep, making sure I'm going to be able to
nights on the couch.
Maybe some arguments. Maybe some arguments on the couch. No, dude, bro, for sure, for sure. And like that's married life, right? But man, I'll tell you what, like since then, my relationship and my marriage hasn't been better. And isn't that funny, right? Through the worst and darkest times financially, which can be the reason why, to your point, relationships can end and marriages can end. So she also knows she married someone who's very smart, very gritty, and I know how to make a buck like that. Now, my lessons learned this year was keeping that money and being more financially sound is some lessons learned on managing debt. But good news is I know how to make money fast. So that's what we did.
And you're very intelligent, bro, because a lot of people, like for instance, you know, like when it comes to like, you know, making content, like for you, I've always realized is, you know, not necessarily how to just make money, but you already know how to actually pivot when you need to. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So like, you're not a person where like, you definitely take risks, but like you kind of see things in the tea leaves. Like, okay, this is not going to work. I'm not doing this podcast right now because I'm not trying to do that because I need to actually be able to save my empire. You know what I'm saying? And maybe I can come back a little bit later. Like, hey, Bishop, I want to do this podcast, but can we do this maybe in 6 months, you know, from now? I know we kind of agree, but can we just do that? Like a lot of like, it takes guts to know when things are not really happening the way that it is, and when you failed, and not just be stubborn and just keep on hitting your head on a damn wall all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, okay, you know what? My head hurts. My head's about to crack. Let me go over here.
No, and the pressure can be. There's a lot of pressure to keep up with the Joneses, as they say, right?
Yes.
And so there's a lot of pressure from outside forces, social media, and it can be very easy to get yourself to say like. You just go down a rabbit hole, spending when you shouldn't spend, committing to things you shouldn't commit to. That's why, again, you got me at a great time where I was like, yeah, I needed to go back into a hole a little bit. I need to reevaluate some things. And now it's our coming out party again, right? I'm feeling in a great place. And that's why I was excited to come back on the pod, bro.
Let me ask you this. In this day and age, when it comes to the economy, obviously the economy is like wild right now.
Insane.
We don't even know what the hell's going to happen within the next month, let alone maybe even
any industry.
In any industry, crypto, stocks, whatever you got going on, right?
Doesn't matter.
We have this thing where, you know, entrepreneurship, business, go all in, forget all your family. You know what I'm saying? Like you're just like go all in. Hustle culture, right? But now, do you think that to be able to actually build something of substance to actually really to be sustainable, should we have a safety net in a W-2?
I think, listen, I right now, I would say yes, 100. And only if you're feeling like, again, it goes back to the word sacrifice, right? Everyone's situation is going to be different, right? You're talking to someone who's a married man who wants a house, who needs healthcare coverage, who has puppies that we need to worry about, and is thinking about kids in the next 2 to 3 years. That comes with an element of what I'm willing to risk and what I'm not willing to risk, right? Some people that are listening to this, they may be just getting out of college. They may be single. They might not have a lot of responsibilities where you can take that risk living off of $5,000 a month, $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month. I can't afford that living in Miami. I need to be making $15,000 a month. I need to be making $20,000 a month. I need to be making $30,000 a month is what I want to hit my goals, and there's things I want to go. And that, so I think to answer your question, I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the economy. I think there's a lot of uncertainty in real estate. I think there's a lot of uncertainty in stocks. Taking massive risk right now is a little bit, I'm saying err on the side of caution with risk, but here's what I'm telling people. Collect as much freaking cash as you possibly can right now. However you do that, just fucking collect as much money as you can. And I think everyone should have a side hustle. If you haven't thought about getting into entrepreneurship, no one's coming to save you. Now is the time to do it. I'll leave you with this very quickly. I just got back from a trip from Milan, Germany, and France. Germany, getting their army built for the first time since World War II, right? They're organizing for the first time an army in France, now opening up their military for the first time in 30 years. There is something going on in the world, right? No one's coming to save us, and there is shit that's gonna hit the fan. I'm just telling people not to be an alarmist. If you need to, if you're worried about your income right now or worried about your job security, go pick up a skill. Get in entrepreneurship, start building a second source of income, third source of income. And then eventually you're going to know based on your circumstance if you can go into it full time.
2 things. Number 1, you can't be proud and broke at the same time.
No, you cannot.
Like, you know what I'm saying? You can't have it both.
No, you can't.
So that's number 1. Number 2, we also have this saying where like the riches are in the niches, which is true, but man, we really need to like really diversify our portfolio as far as like what we're great at to be able to literally survive. Like, I don't think we live in a day and age where we can just do one thing and just have that just carry ourselves
rely
away
on it.
and rely on it, honestly, because that shit can just literally just go right then and there.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Because now everyone's concerned about AI replacing jobs, and that's going to happen. It's the nature of it. Workforces are going to be reduced substantially. So it's inevitable. But I think people need to be developing skills right now that make them irreplaceable. And again, that's why I preach so much about what we do and who we work with. Is a lot of our services are meant for people that are W-2 employees or trying to build a new source of income. That's why I love, again, what we get excited about is because it just helps to solve that solution for people, right?
Let's get into that then. But before we get into that, how has AI actually impacted your business? And how have you been using AI to be able to amplify, your service?
So, dude, it's going back to, again, how we pivoted. That was a great question you asked. Like, how were we able to, what was the moment we were able to, pivot and save our business a bit this year? It wasn't just a conversation with my wife. It was also looking into AI and saying how much of the software that we're using to date can we tweak a process or find another solution that instead could allow us, instead of having X amount of employees in this department, we now have 3, we now have 2, and we can now do the same process, deliver the same service, and actually improve the client experience with 2 people instead of 5 people, right?
Okay,
so there was a lot of that this year, which was like, there's so much free software, which is awesome. I mean, Slack is free when you start off. A lot of just like ChatGPT, I would pay the $15. I do pay more than that for it. But if you're just needing to get on your foot in the door, it can help you with just a lot of copywriting. It can help you a lot with, right now we're integrating with our data team. Our skip tracing is a big part of our service, being able to find homeowners, being able to find property owner records. That process takes a lot of time. So we've used AI to automate that. And there's like little process things in between the lines. That's how AI is making an impact in my business. It's not putting an AI bot and letting that replace my team and expecting that to do the work. It's how can I implement this little feature, this tool, and that make my process a lot easier and save me a lot of time and money
Yeah.
And that's what I'm implementing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, AI, I don't think AI should never be an enemy. It should definitely be an amplifier.
Always.
It needs to be a support because it ain't going nowhere. That's number one.
Facts.
It's getting bigger. The beast is getting bigger, and it's either how you use it or you just honestly just get swallowed by it, and then that's pretty much
you got to
it.
know how to use it.
Yeah.
You got to know how to use it. It's irresponsible. Or hire somebody that knows how to use it. That's what I'm doing, is hiring the VAs that know how to use it well.
Yeah, man. So as far as your business right now, I know you have a webinar that's actually coming up,
Yep.
right? That you're actually working on. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so a little bit about the company I run, DIY Real Estate Group, is we basically have had a high ticket done for you service. It incorporates calling, lead management, data, list pulling, systems, everything you need to operate a completely done for you wholesale or real estate investment business. Now, what we've done with this webinar, because a lot of people, especially right now, are struggling to pay $2, $3, $4 grand a month to have that service, right? So what I wanted to do, however, is teach people breaking down this exact system, breaking down this setup, and not just giving them the leads, not just giving them the lists, not just giving them the CRM. It's actually teaching them how to take that, integrate them, and implement a system that can generate leads, set appointments for your team, and basically replace your entire self from that side of the operation. So that way that clients, all they should be spending their time on is just talking with sellers and converting sellers and closing their business. So this webinar is actually, for the first time ever, breaking down this system and going in depth in one day, just in a one-day workshop, where I'm gonna help people set up their system, set up and pull the right lists and their data, and then actually get them the virtual assistants that they need, that they can trust, that are trained and ready to go, to then actually convert the seller leads and convert the opportunities for the business.
What does setting up the systems, like what exactly does that look like?
Yeah, so one, we got to get a CRM. We're done working out of Google Sheets. We're done working out of all that notepads and notebooks.
Exactly, I got you.
We're done with all that.
No caveman days anymore. We got to be updated.
We got to be with Go High Level.
Yes,
right? We're
sir.
talking about Go High Level. We actually use Go High Level as our CRM. It's a white label specific to real estate investors. And so we want to implement a CRM. This is what's going to hold all of your deals and opportunities. And then from there, we want to go out and start setting up your marketing, right? The system is going to connect to a dialer. That's going to be where your agent's going to be on the dialer and actually qualifying seller leads. So all of this has to talk to one another, and most people don't know that right out of the gates, right? Most of us are not born with an IT background. So my job is to help leverage my expertise and skills from the IT side and help you guys avoid all that guesswork. And we're going to come out of this workshop with a done for you system.
So what do you think is the number one or number two mistakes that people make when it comes to wholesaling, when it comes to marketing? What's the bonehead decisions that they be making?
Not investing or expecting that leads are going to sell themselves, right? I think right now what's really winning the market, what's really winning deals, is people's ability to really give the seller a great selling experience. It's not just, hey, here's a cash offer. I think right now you've seen it, and you're not even in real estate, but everyone sees wholesaling this, wholesaling that. It's one of the most saturated.
It really is.
Spaces.
It's pretty sickening. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah,
with you.
it's awful, bro. I hate it. I hate it. That's why I talk more about my call center than I do with my wholesaling business, because it's just so saturated, right? But the big thing is, though, it's not a get rich if, it's a get rich when, if you commit to that business, because real estate is just so tried and true.
That's a fact.
And so I think, going back to one of the issues and major problems that they have, I think, is people don't know how to actually conduct themselves when they're speaking with sellers and taking them through the actual sales and closing process.
Yeah,
think about
the customer journey?
Correct, the customer journey.
Got it.
Not a lot of people, you believe it or not, have done sales, right? Not a lot of people have. You are in client sales, and so you've experienced this, but most people that want to get into entrepreneurship, or most people that have money, that have this visionary idea of business, actually have never done sales before. So they get into it, and then they start talking with sellers, and then it's like, there's a tactics, techniques, and a sales approach you need to have. And so that's what I'm finding is helping, newer wholesalers, newer investors, before they even start with our program.
Got it.
I want to make sure that they have a good sales background first. And if they don't, we're going to help them with some sales practices and scripts and training.
So from that, what you said, people don't necessarily have a marketing problem; they have a sales problem.
Correct. Yes, because
So,
you can partner with a marketing company and get leads anytime you want. Like I'm a company that can do it. I work with other companies that help me with getting leads. But what gets deals closed is lead management and acquisitions, and that's stuff that needs to be taught often and teached. You know, those aren't skills that people are necessarily born with all the time in the sales side. So I always tell people really invest heavily in just your sales acumen. And then right now what's needing to be, what's even more important than it's ever been is because now it's a buyer's market is really figuring out the true buyers that have the money and that are really they're signing paper, you know, people that are actually doing deals, because there's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines right now kind of waiting and picking to see what's happening in the market. So I think you got to go out and network with the real players, and that's, you got to find out who's active.
Another thing I actually want to point out to you is that what I've actually realized, and this is kind of like within my business, with my academy, with my media company, is that the deal is not done until the deal is done.
Yeah, man. Until
the
money's
deal,
down the bank
and
account.
the deal can only be done, especially when it comes to like leads, is when you actually nourish the connection before you, when they become a lead versus until when they actually become a lead, up until you actually have the conversation.
Correct.
I think people, when they get the lead, hey, listen, all right, Kyle. So, okay, so you want to join the podcast? Okay, say for instance, let's make it more personal. If I wasn't like relentless with you, this would not be happening.
Correct.
You probably would have never done the podcast. We've never done business.
Nope.
It is what it is. But I think a lot of people, when say, for instance, somebody who's interested in the podcast, or say if they're interested in a service, there's literally touch points that needs to happen up until that first call. There needs to be touch points between the second call to the third call. Like there needs to be like a relentless pursuit of communication for them to always be, for you guys to be always on the same page.
Correct.
Because just because they're interested, that's just literally like a quarter of the battle.
No.
Not even half of the battle. That's a quarter of the battle.
Especially in today's day and age,
That's
the
what
way
I'm saying,
that people's
man, because,
buying tendencies
of just like, you know, that like you losing their attention.
Analysis paralysis. There's
There's
also getting ads from I see new companies popping up, man, twice a day, three
facts.
times a day that are in this space. It's hard to be a consumer right now because they're getting it from all angles, right? And there's everyone's got their bullshit blinders up, and I don't blame them, because we just went through 2020 to 2025, like all these people selling courses and selling these things with false promises. And I think I saw you did a post, some kid bought 30 grand. That's been
35
crazy.
grand mentorship.
That makes me want to throw up. That's awful, bro. That's highway robbery, and that guy should be thrown in jail. Whoever fucking did that. That's awful, man.
Yeah,
like there's no amount of information that I feel like that's worth that. But anyways, so I think you're just experiencing a lot of that, right? So for people like us that I think have a really good service, a really good product, hold ourselves like, you know, good businessmen, we have to it's that group in between. You know, 10% of your leads might convert now, but it's like you're gonna make your money in that like 60, 90, 120 day follow-up.
And sometimes you gotta get down and dirty as far as, you know, not really relying on the automation part and just having that connection as far as like I did with you, sending text messages, calling, voice notes, even video messages.
Always
like
a little
just
bit creative.
making sure that you have that connection. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And
because that's just how you actually be able to actually create a true connection, and they're able to actually build that know, like, trust, and buy.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Before they buy, they have to trust you. Before they buy, they have to like you. And then before they even that, they have to trust you. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
And that's But then also too, what I've actually realized, you have to have that genuine process, not to just do that just to try to get the sale.
Yep.
Yeah, they actually really like give a fuck about the person.
Oh, and their well-being. Yeah. And that's trickled over into real estate. And it's funny that you're experiencing that. So that's what's happening, I think, in all industries, is like leads are a commodity, AI is a commodity, data is a commodity, CRMs are a commodity. It's how do you put these together? And then how do you actually implement that to get results and money in your bank account? That's what I'm seeing. And like people that provide services and provide teachings and education on that in between the line stuff is the ones that are gonna, you know, have successful clients.
Yeah, man.
That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. With 48. Okay, we got like a couple more minutes if that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, this has been great. This has been fire.
Yeah. Thank you.
No. Okay, so let me ask you a couple questions and have a last segment, and then
Sure.
then after that, then talk a little bit about your webinar, how people can find it, and then we'll wrap up.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. So 2 questions. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received in your life?
Best piece of advice I've ever received in my life. Oh man. So actually my first manager out of my first job at Carbon Black that I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, his name is Kyle Starr. He gave me a book before I left. And I went to, go on to my entrepreneurial journey. And he said to me, don't ever stop having your mind be a sponge. And that always resonated with me. I was 26 at the time, and it wasn't necessarily advice more so than it was just a little bit of like who I am as a person, and don't ever stop being that way. But it resonated with me as life advice because I was like, holy shit, he's right. Like I just take every situation with nothing but every opportunity to learn from it, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And I think that's helped me a ton in my entrepreneurship journey.
What is the worst piece of advice you ever received in your life?
The worst piece of advice I ever received in my life, man. Oh man. I mean, it's not that funding is okay. So I'll very quickly hit on this. I think people jump, and this is coming from someone obviously that had a different experience when I got funding and credit, but this is actually applying. My best piece of advice was more life advice. This is business advice. I think people rush and throw funding down new business owners' throats way too often. And I think it's not irresponsible is the right word. I think we need to be careful with the word funding and how we use that when we're new entrepreneurs and new business owners. And why I say that specifically is that I've seen a lot of people that have been granted funding as if it's going to be this, golden ticket to their business all of a sudden, being successful when they don't realize that you have to get a return on that. That money's not free.
Gotcha.
Right. So I find that it's not any sort of necessary advice that I got, but it's something I've seen when I got into entrepreneurship very early, as I was just told to get funding a lot. And I've had some good experiences with funding. I've had some recent bad experiences with funding. But I would say err with caution and build a sustainable cash flowing business first.
I would say this, you have to be very, very careful as far as, business funding, like when you get it, right? And then when you need to dive into
how
it.
to implement it.
I also think there's a little bit of a contradiction as far as what I do for a living. I think you have to be very, very careful when you do podcast runs.
Interesting.
I personally think that you need to be very, very prepared in order to do it. I'll give you an example. I had a person that had I think like a 10 or maybe 12K budget for a podcast run.
Okay.
Dude had like 500 followers. He didn't have an offer. He had nothing. He just wanted to be on podcasts, just be able to do that. I'm like, bro, listen, I can take your money. You know what I'm saying? I can take your money, but yo, listen, let's go through this like 6-month run where like I'm coaching you, getting not only your follower up, but also getting your offer up, getting your ability to be able to speak as well too. Like, podcasting is amazing, but you can't be ill prepared. Like you have to be prepared in order for you to capitalize as much as possible. Because what happens is if I put you on a podcast and I just take your money and I know there's 3 or 4 things that you need to work on, you're gonna be mad at me. You're probably gonna want to do a chargeback.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
But yeah,
like,
you gotta be
I want to make
that.
sure that I'm giving you the tools to be successful. So people, when they hear podcasts, they want to just want podcasts just to be fun or whatever, that's fine. But for really to be able to actually grab and also squeeze all the juice out of the fruits from podcasting, there's so much things you have to be prepared for before you do that run.
Oh, I learned that too. Yeah. I did that program with Brendan. I learned so much from his program because I wasn't prepared at first, and I was a high ticket and then transitioned to figure out, I need to have a really good low ticket and a good offering there when I'm going on to podcasts, dude. So I think
we're in a low ticket market now. I'm realizing that.
You're right. And that just jump to high ticket is just that journey, that customer journey needs to have more steps along the way. Yeah, for sure.
And then also too, another thing with your webinar, which we'll get into right now, once they buy from you once, they're gonna buy from you more.
Always.
They just need to just buy from you once and they'll be buying from you 2, 3, 4, 5 times on top of that. Yeah, definitely.
100%.
Yeah, man. Kyle, it's been great.
It's been great, Bishop.
I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, bro. I'm glad we did it.
Looking at the camera, tell us a little about your webinar, all about where to find it, et cetera, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, so guys, this is a webinar I'm going to run every single month. It's going to be on the 3rd week of every month. It's going to be the 3rd Saturday, actually, of every month. It's called the Teach 'Em How to Fish webinar. It's going to be a 1-day workshop where we're going to actually break down your systems, data and list building best practices, as well as virtual assistants, hiring, managing, and firing best practices, so that you guys can replace yourself in your business and have a system that works while you can't. And so we're going to run that on, again, it's going to be the third Saturday in January. And then we're going to run that for those that can't make it the third Saturday of every month.
Got you.
We're really excited, man. I've never done anything like this before. And we're breaking down 5 years worth of field tested systems and data into this one day.
Got you, bro. Kyle, it's been amazing.
Appreciate you,
I
brother.
appreciate you, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
As always. Only the best.